ladies and gentlemen. Most of you probably don't know me because of my obscure past. But for starters, allow me to introduce myself. I am John Henry Holliday. You all may call me Doc. And I am an American dentist, criminal, and gunfighter. My adventures began on August 14, 1851, when I was born in Griffin, Georgia, with a severe cleft palate deformation. Luckily, my uncle is a fine physician. He and a co-worker corrected my deformity when I was an infant to prevent further problems. It did a number on my speech, but with my mother's assistance, I could soon fluently speak Latin, Greek, and French. My father inherited a piece of land in Valdosta when I was 6 years old. My mother, father, the houseboys Wilson and Cheney, and I moved, and I attended grade school at Valdosta Institute, finishing with flying colors. Sorry. But instead of an exciting year, my first year in high school was a tragedy. I can still remember every second of the worst day of my life. It continues to haunt me. My mother was lying in bed, sweating through the sheets. I held her hand in mine as tears streamed unchecked down my face and my body was racked with sobs. She coughed, becoming paler and paler until she was white as death. Then, my heart shattered into a million pieces as the person I held dearest to me drew in her last breath. Advanced pulmonary consumption had killed my mother. I attempted to stem the crippling flow of grief that emitted from my soul by burying my nose in books and rarely pulling it out, even more so than usual, and tickling the ivories until I could play Chopin with ease. And not much to my surprise, my father, Henry Holliday, remarried to a girl who could have been my sister only 3 months later, leaving me filled with a bitter hatred. Then, when I finished high school, I moved to Yankee Country up north and attended the Pennsylvania College of Dental Surgery in 1870. I graduated 2 years later and began my days as a dental surgeon in Atlanta. But soon after I began my career, I got a dreadful cough that just wouldn't go away. I contacted my uncle. "John," he said, "I'm sorry to tell you this. I really don't want to. But there's a reason for the cough that you've been having, and it's the same reason why you've been getting so thin and pale. You've caught the same disease that your mother died of, advanced pulmonary consumption." I just shook my head at the irony of it. I had to move to a dry climate to preserve my lungs, so I packed my bags and headed for Dallas, Texas. Train after train I rode, the misery of leaving everything I knew and loved behind me, creeping into my heart. I attempted to continue my work there, but was forced to quit due to a bank crash in '73. So I turned to gambling to maintain the limited life to which I am confined, keeping dentistry as a side job. I learned to play faro from a young lady named Sophie Walton. Her lessons combined with my intelligence made faro a much more dangerous game for me than it already was, because I won disproportionately. I've had many disagreements along the way, one resulting deadly for my opponent, and the other, another, resulting in my catching a bullet to the hip. The cane that I use today is the effect of that unfortunate encounter. I fled to many cities in fear for my life. but eventually wound up in Fort Griffin, Texas, where I met my dear friend Wyatt Earp and my sweet, soft Hungarian devil, who most folk unkindly referred to as Big Nose Kate, but never twice to her face. And so, I will never forget that fateful day I met Wyatt. I was at Chance's saloon having a drink of bourbon to calm my cough when a scowling man came to my table. "Doc Holliday, right?" he said. "Why, yes, sir. Please sit down. Let me get you a drink. Tea sound all right, or would you like something stronger?" "Tea's fine," he said, sitting down. After sitting in silence for a while, he finally spoke up. "My name's White. I'm a deputy, and I've been chasing a man named Dirty Dave Rudabaugh. Could you give me any information on his whereabouts?" "Why, he was just here yesterday. If I were you, I would circle back into Kansas. No doubt he would try to be elusive." "Thank you, sir," he said. And then he left. Shortly thereafter, Kate and I left for Dodge City. Later, I found out that Wyatt had gone to Tombstone to mine for silver. We followed to Tombstone and found Wyatt as well as his brothers Morgan, Virgil, and James. I became a dentist, keeping Pharaoh as another side job, and eventually our fights went on, but overall Kate and I lived a happy life together. Then one night, one of our fights went too far. We had another argument about money, and she left. Next thing I knew, I saw her talking to a local lawman, claiming that the carriage robbery that night had also included Morgan, Virgil, White, and I. A man named Bat Masterson had spread so many rumors about me that the lawman believed her and almost arrested us all for no particular reason. But then, much to our convenience, the real robbers, Ike and Billy Clanton, appeared, and all hell broke loose. The battle was legendary. Over 30 shots were fired in 30 seconds. Both Virgil and Morgan were shot. They survived. But a few days later, Morgan was shot in the back and killed by one of the gang members that Ike and Billy belonged to. White was devastated and outraged. He swore he would kill every last cowboy of Cochise County, that's what the gang was called, if it was the last thing he did, and to never return to Tombstone again. Thus began the Up Vendetta ride. White, some old friends of ours, and I rode with him, hunting the cowboys of Cochise County well into 1882. Now, however, I'm sad to say that my life is quite less dramatic. I live in Glenwood Springs, just up the mountain over there, and I am slowly dying of consumption. But I can guarantee you one thing. Death will come to me soon, and when it does, I will take it with as much grace as I can muster up. And like I said to White, there's no good life, White. There's just life. Now get on with it. And I plan to do so. Well, there's a good poker game scheduled for later, so I must take my leave. But before I do so, do you have any questions for me?